You are a firefighter, and you're battling a wildfire on the opposite ridge. It is windy, and the fire is raging. Suddenly, with a gust of wind, the fire leaps across the gulf and onto the ridge where you are. It is racing up the hill towards you now, and fast. What do? Your commanding officer yells, "Drop your tools and run." Do you turn and run? Or do you drop your tools and then turn and run? Because if you run whilst carrying your tools, the fire will get you and you will perish. In 1949, this exact scenario played out, and 13 firefighters in Montana lost their lives because they refused orders to drop their tools. Of the 15 firefighters on the ridge that day, the only two who survived dropped their tools and sprinted over the ridge to safety. Analysis shows that all 15 of them could have survived. In the 1990s, 23 elite woodland firefighters lost their lives because they refused orders to drop their tools. We see the same thing with Navy seamen refusing orders to remove their steel-toed boots before abandoning ship. They either drown or punch holes in their life rafts. Why does it matter? It matters because dropping one's tools is a proxy for unlearning, for adaptability, and for flexibility. In times of change, when the world as we know it is shifting beneath our feet, dropping our tools, refusing to drop our tools, could be fatal. We have to be willing to drop what we know and pick up new things, but often as human beings, in the face of uncertainty and fear, we hold on tightest to what we know and are comfortable with. We regress to what we know best. We don't progress to what is actually best. And in times of uncertainty, we hold on tightest to what we know and are comfortable with, which is not entirely a bad thing unless what we know and are comfortable with is holding us back or keeping us stuck. Firefighters refusing to drop their tools, Navy seamen refusing to remove their boots. So in a world that is shifting, whether we want it to or not, and whether we're comfortable with it or not, what tools might you need to drop in order to succeed? Just because it's tools that you know or things that you've always done doesn't necessarily mean that it's what you need, because change is constant and the fire is racing up the hill. And yet, dropping familiar tools is particularly difficult for experienced professionals who rely on overlearned behavior. Overlearned behavior is when you have done the same thing in response to the same challenges over and over until you actually no longer recognize that that thing you do, that tool you use, that mindset, that attitude, that skill is a situation specific tool, mindset, skill, attitude. The thing we always reach for might not be what we really need, but we gravitate to what we know. We hold on tightest to what we know, and what we know becomes what we do and what we default to over and over again, even if it no longer serves us, because we're still so convinced that we need it. Because we don't often stop, pause, and question our own certainty. Our minds are often so made up, but you're allowed to change your mind. I used to sit on the committee for my local sports club, and one committee meeting, we were having a raging debate. Some of us on the left of the argument, some of us on the right of it, and the one guy is arguing his point when suddenly he stops and pauses and says, "Hold on, I've changed my mind," and promptly starts arguing for the other side. Now, the rest of us sat there like, what is happening? And he looked at us and he said, "What? I'm allowed to change my mind." It hit me like, duh, of course you're allowed to change your mind. It's your mind. And if it feels uncomfortable, that's okay. Because if this is the only way you've ever known, that's okay too. All you have to do is give yourself permission to change your mind. And it's hard to let go of these mindsets, of these certainties, of these things that form part of our identity. But maybe it helps to bear in mind that the precise person you are now is fleeting, just like all of the other people that you've been. So if you're uncomfortable, it's fine. You can be uncomfortable and brave at the same time. How many different people have you been in your life so far, and how many will you still be? I've been a professional dancer, a semi-professional ultimate frisbee player, an English teacher, a brand strategist, a business founder, an employee experience specialist, which I still am, a remote work manager, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. All of them were me, just slightly different. What do you need to change in order to have your maximum desired impact? Or rather, what do you need to change now? Because you're changing and the world is changing. So, what do you need to change now in order to have your current maximum desired impact? The impact that you want to have now might not be the impact that you want to have in the next month, quarter, or even year. So, for your current maximum desired impact, what do you need to change? What do you need to shift? And are you holding on to the right tools for that? What tools might you need to drop? What might you need to pick up? What skills, what mindsets, what attitudes are going to help you have your maximum impact in a changing world of work?